Come on.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Knoxville, Iowa for tonight's, I Believe, 40. Happy sunset to you. We're here at the historic Knoxville Raceway. It's going to be a great night. We got a good field here tonight. I think we've got 30 drivers will be in our feature this evening, maybe even a couple of more. We plan on only having about 28. Great response, great fundraising to support ocular melanoma research. Donations going to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland. Got to thank Kyle Hackett and Allie McDaniels for organizing this and getting things situated for us. Let's see if we can get her up here in the booth. Not here quite yet, but before we do that, I do want to thank first and foremost is Holly Boys Racing TV analyst and producer Steve Singer. That's myself. We donated this broadcast for tonight's event. We originally were contacted, hey, can you help us out? And I said, well, I'll donate a broadcast to you. Well, that snowball went downhill, got bigger and bigger and bigger, and people got involved, and we got a donation ourselves from the Superior Class Auto Racing League. They're running next-gen Cup cars, Super Lates, and ARCA this season. They decided, you know what, we'll pay for the broadcast for you guys and go from there. So we donated that money anyway, and we'll go from there. Apologize for that confusion there. I had a little bit of a feedback issue. It looks like we do have Allie in the booth. Allie, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. Gotcha. So, Allie, I know we got some sponsors that are helping us get this done. Do you want to go through them real quick?
Yeah. First, I want to start with Major Setup Garage. They provided the setup for the event today, as well as they gave us a special code for the top 3 drivers. They're going to get a 1-month free subscription to their services. So we'll give that to the drivers after the event. Beef Jerky Unlimited, they are sponsoring a pole sitter award. So whoever qualifies for the pole position is going to get a jerky package from them, which I think is really cool. And then we have ZB Cinematography. They're partners with 3 Wide. They do professional photos and hero cards, and they're going to be sponsoring the Hard Charger prize. So whoever's the Hard Charger will get the hero card and 5 professional images from him. And then we have a couple people that promoted the race for us and shared it. So special thanks is going to go out to the Joe Six-Pack Racing and Podcast Group. Greg does a really great job. He interviewed us on his podcast one time, so he has been sharing this broadcast. And then we also have ILikeToRace.com. It's a brand new platform, but it's for all racing, everything, racing drivers and fans and iRacing. And it's just like Facebook, but just for racing. So we've promoted it there as well. And if you haven't signed up for their platform, go ahead and do that because it's really cool. And then, of course, thank you for broadcasting this and helping us out with that.
Well, Ellie, we really appreciate being involved in it. It's a great cause for starters. It's fun for us. It seemed to be a pretty big deal, even on our social media platforms, and in yours, it was getting a lot of shares, a lot of likes, and a lot of attention out there on the interweb. So we're looking forward to it tonight. Before we let you sneak out of the broadcast booth, I got to ask, who's your pick to win tonight? Do you have one?
Oh, I don't. I can't
No
play
pick?
favorites. No, I don't. Really, any of them, you know. It's just really great that everybody came out to help support the cause. So whoever wins is my pick, I guess.
Good enough. All right, Ellie, again, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for reading off those sponsors for us. And thank you, sponsors, for being a part of this. Without you, it wouldn't be as big as it is, that's for sure. Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you.
With that, we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen, in time for qualifying and the heats. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Knoxville Raceway. Qualifying getting underway. First couple laps here. Looks like I don't have any race audio, so every technical difficulty I could plan on tonight just isn't working out. Give me a moment. I will fix that. We'll be back in literally 30 seconds or less. See that? 30 seconds. We're back. On track for their qualifying attempt right now, we have the number 29 of Magnus Anderson out of Boone, Iowa. Wrapping up right now, we've got Jonathan Byram, I should say. He is on pole position. Carson Conway, the number 72 Holler Boys Racing Machine. Carson out of the Outer Banks, North Carolina. Got Ryan Arbogast in the 2. Ryan wraps up his attempt, catching these guys late here. Let's see, we've got Brock Manuel, and that number 98. Made sure to touch base with me earlier on to make sure I pronounced his name properly. It sounds funny, but you have no idea how beneficial and helpful that is, because half the time when I'm running these races for the first time, I don't know anybody, don't know how they say their names, so appreciate that. Here we see Kyle Hackett. number 14 machine. Kyle helped put this together. Lap 1 for Kyle in 1884. Top time right now, pole time 1829, so 1884. First lap a bit slow. Let's see if Kyle can pick up the pace here this time around. Does improve slightly, 18.728 seconds. Puts him 26th quick, just above Carson Conway. New top time on the board, we've got Keith Hackney at an 18:22. Second lap for Hackney in 18:33, does not improve second time. Robert Tucker on track, lap 1 in 18:42, not a bad time. 13th quick on the board thus far. Let's see if he can pick it up also on lap 2. Robert Tucker, outside front row, 18.28 seconds. Not quite enough for pole. Again, keeping in mind, pole position here in qualifying will get an automatic to the feature. Only guy that's going to have that spot all the way to the end. The rest of these guys are going to have to set their field positioning based on the heats. Looks like everybody's going to run tonight, though. I think we originally planned on 28. Going to have, I think, 32 instead, so not a huge discrepancy there. We'll get everybody a chance to run that donated some money. After all, it is for a good cause and a good time. Looks as though everyone who wanted to take a time has taken a time. Race heat number 1. About to get underway here. All right, trying to settle in here. We had some technical difficulties early on. Took about 3 or 4 different attempts to get the stream up and running. Not really sure what was going on, but so far so good. No warnings in the windows for me, so we'll cross our fingers. Hope we get to the end here. We usually do. And I believe we've got Vincent Short joining us here in the broadcast booth, if I'm not mistaken. Vince is a little more versed in the dirt racing world than I. All I know is they do go left, but they turn right to do it. Vince, are you with us? Vince isn't quite with us yet. Probably getting logged into the sim. Oh, maybe he's there. Hey, there he is. Vincent Short, everybody. Welcome to the HBR TV booth. Vince is a more of a racing contributor to the TV side of things with HBR, Holler Boys Racing, but he's going to help us out in the booth tonight because, again, he is our dirt encyclopedia, I should say. Vince, you got a copy? We'll try to get Vince back on the horn here. It worked okay when Allie jumped in the room, so we're just trying to figure out what's up with that. It seems like
Can you hear me, Steve?
You got me now, Vince? Well, we'll get it worked out. First heat's getting ready to get rolling here. Cars into turn 1 and 2. Nikki, are you hearing us on the stream? It looks like everything's going through on that side, right? Vince, I got you. You got us? Two laps to go here in the first heat, coming to the white flag for the first heat. Looks like Robert Tucker currently your leader. Second place, James Sterry. That's how it's going to end up. Josh Whiteman third. Fourth is Cameron Dawson. Fifth, Ryan Arbogast. Sixth, Brian Rose. Seventh, Zachary Beisch. Eighth, Carson Conway. Heat number 2, Thomas McMullen, Brett Evans, Colton Herbert, David Garman, Ryan Hatch, Clinton Conrad, Camden Johnson. It looks like Brock Manuel did not make it into this one. Still trying to get Vincent Short on the horn. I'm not sure what his issue is. I know the rest of the guys are able to hear me, just not him, so we'll still try to get him up here shortly. Green is out. We are underway. Brent Evans to the early lead. Thomas McMullen in the second spot in that number 2 machine. Brent Evans out front in that 101. Thomas McMullen working the second spot, getting some pressure from Colton Herbert. Colton up 2 spots since the start of this heat. Looks like Brock Manuel did make it out. Maybe not. Not sure what happened there, if it was a connection issue for Brock. 3 to go at the line for Brent Evans. Thomas McMullen hanging tight in the second spot in his heat. Colton Herbert doing the same in third, but under pressure from David Garman. Garman to his inside, 2 to go. Uh-oh, we lost Colton for a second. He's back just as quick as he left. White flag in the air. Colton still under pressure by David Garman Jr., giving Thomas McMullen a little bit of breathing room, but not so much through turns 1 and 2. Thomas gets a little momentum out the back stretch into turn 3, loses that momentum coming off turn number 4. Thomas McMullen second spot at the line. It's going to be the 2. Thomas McMullen holding off Colton Herbert for that position at the flag. Great finish. Everybody in the chat, are you getting my audio? Debbie Rose, Nikki Short, my reliables, you hearing me or no? All right, Thomas, you got the audio. Colton, you got the audio. Okay, cool. Carson Conway's lying to me. Cameron Sterry, thank you very much, guys. All these technical issues we've had tonight, I just don't trust anything related to a computer anymore. All right, heat number 3. Got Jonathan Byram, Michael, I'm going to butcher that one, Doan. Looks like Joanne with a D. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Carter Russo, Stephen Boynton, Garrett Zacharias, Johnny Anderson, Margaret McDaniel, Tommy D'Angelo. Tommy D'Angelo actually sneaking over here from the Superior Class Auto Racing League. Again, SCAR, otherwise known as the Superior Class Auto Racing League, actually sponsored the broadcast for tonight, so we certainly appreciate them stepping up to do so. You got me now?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, the now infamous Vincent Short.
Hello, everybody.
Vincent Short, as we were saying earlier, is kind of our resident dirt guy. I just know that they turn left, but they turn right to do it. Vincent can explain all the details as the pace car ducks into pit lane. We're going green here on heat number 3.
Yeah, Steve, early on in these heat races, they're going to have a little more grip than normal. As the race goes on in the feature, you'll start slicking off, but most of these guys are going to counter steer, what we call throwing it in and then catching it on the bar, which causes the rear wheels both to get grip and give them drive off the turns.
So it is relatively early. We're only in our 3rd heat. We're running about 5-lap heat. Track's going to change quite a bit between now and the end of the actual feature. What do you expect to see handling-wise as the race progresses?
Usually, with the crates, i.e. the limiteds, you don't see it as much where you have to fight it. You can basically go full throttle with those. With the pros, you got a little mix of the crate and the super power. So eventually they'll work their way up to the top and try to get as much grip as they can. Now, the sooner they go up to the top, the more dirt they can push down low and maybe get another lane for grip. But right now, they're good with the middle and a little bit of low. The guys that are good are going to be the ones that can throttle really well, throttle response, and get a little grip down low.
There's certainly some heavy hitters in this race tonight. I've been looking at the I rating of some of these guys, and I know a lot of times it doesn't always mean much, but we're looking at some guys in the 7,000 category for I rating, and that's alien category if you ask me.
Oh yeah, most definitely. With dirt, it's with a lot of these guys that are religious with it, you'll see really high I ratings because they eat, sleep, and drink dirt racing, whether it be supers, mods, big block mods, or street stocks.
Well, here we are, last lap of heat number 3. Off turn number 2 goes Jonathan Byram. Handily taking this one away from the 007 of Michael Dwayne, man, I'm sorry if I'm screwing that up. All right, so just to cover this real fast, we'll see if we can blast through some of the results. Heat number 1 goes to Robert Tucker. Second, James Sterry. Third, Josh Whiteman. Fourth was Dawson. Fifth, Arbogast. Sixth was Brian Rose. Seventh, Zachary Bache. Eighth was Carson Conway. Heat number 2 went to Brent Evans. Thomas McMullen was second. Colton Herbert third. Then fourth was Garmin. Fifth, Conrad. Sixth, Johnston. Seventh, Hatch. Eighth, Manuel. And heat number 3, just watch that wrap up, went to Jonathan Byram. Second was Michael Doan. I'm going to screw it up all night. Doney?
Doan.
Doan. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with Doan. Stephen Boynton, Garrett Zacharias, Carter Russo, McDaniel, Anderson, D'Angelo. Again, it's a one-off race, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to butcher some names tonight, I promise.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the names here, Steve, to see if there are any that I'm familiar with that I've ran with before. Keith Hackney comes to mind right off the bat. He's fairly skilled with the dirt cars, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does perform well tonight. Yeah, Thomas McMullen, I know, has some dirt experience. He races with us in SCAR. He definitely has the experience there. Now, with the Pro Late Metals, I'm not sure, but I'm sure he can hold his own.
Well, Carson even mentioned earlier that he says, wow, man, I'm even nervous about this one. There's some heavy hitters in here. But he's excited. He made the field, and here we go. Heat number 4. Now, this is the 7-lapper, so we're down to 6 to go. Connor McGowan out to the early lead. Up on the bank on the inside. Loses serious momentum off turn number 4, giving the lead to Josh Lennox. But Connor McGowan fighting back down low. Doesn't have the momentum off the corner, though. It's like Mark Keteman Jr. try and put his nose in between these two for a position as well.
Yeah, it looks like Connor's testing out that low side to see what he can find down there early on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short little heat, but it gives him an opportunity under race conditions to see what can and can't work.
Josh looks real smooth. He's taking what the track's giving him right now, not trying to overdrive it.
Consistency is very important here if you got a line that's going to work.
With anybody that's experienced or dealt with mud or dirt understands that the slower the wheel, the better grip you're going to get. So the old adage goes with dirt racing, slower is faster.
Mark Keteman Jr. out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. You know who's from there. Last lap for these top 3. Really could go to any one of them into turn 3 and 4. Oh, contact off turn 4. Not sure who got it. If it was Keteman, yeah, it was the, well, it says 52, but also the 8A of Mark Keteman Jr. Takes the win in that heat. So now we've got our warm-up. Now, that being the 7-lap instead of a 5-lap, Vince, would you consider that like the, I don't know, what would you call that? It's not a heat race.
Nah, standard usually when we race them in here, usually anywhere between 10 and 12 laps. It gives you a little bit of an idea as the track slicks off a little bit, so you get to test the track as it grips early and then as it slicks a little bit. Yeah, preference-wise on these late models, I usually prefer the pros because they're not too overpowering, but they're just enough power that you can kind of throttle and wheel them around.
Well, Vince, I know you came in here late because you were getting out of work, but man, did we have some difficulties getting this thing rolling into the stream. I was just going to run it, come on right at 8 o'clock with the race session and the race itself, but then I'm like, well, let me get on at 7:30 and get on a little early, cover some practice, and well, I get on at 7:30 and nothing's right. All my settings are the same as they always are, which have run great for the last 2 months, but whatever update happened on whether it was iRacing and or Windows, I couldn't get the stream to run for anything. So I had to shut the whole computer down, start fresh, came back up, and knocking on wood, crossing our fingers, we're doing okay still.
That's good to see it's working. I think that was also what affected it reset my Discord settings on there, so I had to reset them back.
Yeah, I mean, it reset everything on my end. It was my audio, video settings, at least as far as graphics were concerned. I noticed that the utilization I've got for the GPU and the CPU is totally different with the same settings I had yesterday, so I don't know what they changed, but either way, we're up and running.
All right. I know they had said something earlier on one of the blogs that the guys were having problems with their crew chief audio and mic systems and having to reboot them and reinstall them.
Hey,
Well,
Steve.
either way, stress level was high.
Hey, Steve.
Okay, you're in the live. You're in the live. You're in the live. You got to message me. So, Vince, from what I understand, I got a message earlier from Allie. She's, again, one of the admins in this event, that they were going to pace the first 5 laps and then run full green after that. I think they had a fuel issue. They weren't sure they were going to make it to the end on the fuel load that they had. I don't have a clue as far as how fuel consumption is affected here at Knoxville, how much they can get away with not having. I know he was trying to set it up with 100%, but I don't know what the tanks on these cars hold.
It just depends. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It's been a little while. I know with some of these, when I raced them and hosted, that was usually one of the issues with the sprint cars and these was running the races a little longer than what the fuel cells can hold.
I mean, 40 laps around here, that's only 20, well, we say it's 20 miles of car travel. It's probably way more than that as far as rear end turning, but...
Right, and you're talking about a 700 horsepower engine that's going to burn some fuel, so...
Now, Vince, hey, you've driven these, haven't you?
Yes.
So, I mean, how do they... I mean, I know they're significantly different to a dirt street stock, but, I mean, how different are we talking? Is it just a matter of huge power plus downforce, or what?
Well, you got a different chassis. You got a lighter weight car that's a little wider than a street stock. Horsepower, obviously. With the pros and the limited late models, you're talking about a crate engine that's 602 or 604. Whereas with the super late models, you're talking about 850 horsepower. So there's quite a bit of difference in horsepower there. The nice thing I like about the pros is when you're learning with the late models, especially dirt late models, is the pro has a balance of each, of the limited and the super. So you got a little balance of both where you can learn how to handle the horsepower and how to throttle. Whereas the limited, it's what it is. It's limited. So you can literally run to the floor for most tracks.
Well, it's time for our feature, the I Believe 40. First annual Gail Hackett I Believe 40. About to get underway here. The field is gridding onto the track. Again, we're going to pace the first 5 green flag laps. Again, I want to stress that there may have been a miscalculation with fuel. Not a big deal. But just to be on the safe side so we don't have these dirt race cars running out of fuel late in the run. That's okay for stock cars and asphalt racing, but not so much here on dirt. Pace car rolling out onto the surface. Fireworks going into the air. We got fireworks and the race hasn't even started yet.
And we got some pretty nice paint jobs on these cars too.
Yeah, definitely guys put some time and effort into a lot of these. You can tell these aren't your once in a while dirt guys. They're out there putting the effort in. Keith Hackney. We'll go through the field. We're going to have time to do it with these pace laps, so let's do it. It's Keith Hackney in that number 69. Robert Tucker to his outside. It's either a 31 or a 17. It must be a custom paint on that car. Third spot, Brett Evans in the 101. Fourth position is the 54, Jonathan Byram. Fifth is Mark Keteman Jr. in the number 52/8A. Everybody moving around here. James Sterry to his outside, and that's 741. Michael Doan. I'm going to go with Doan. Still probably messing it up, but got Stephen Boynton in the 75. Did I miss anybody? These guys won't hold the line for nothing. Thomas McMullen again out of Pensacola, Florida in that number 2. Oh, we've got the big wide shot here. 4 wide salute going on. Explains why everybody was changing positions. What a view here from Knoxville. Not sure if they even planned it this way, but if they did or if they didn't, either way, really cool to see.
Yeah, this is usually standard with the late models, most of the tracks that they race at. I go to Fairbury pretty regularly every year, and this is a big thing for them.
Not the tightest 4 wide salute, but we'll take it. Looks pretty good, at least for the first 4 or 5 rows.
And one of the things you'll see, Steve, as the race goes on, early on, you may see guys that are really strong when it's a grippy track or tacky track, whereas you may have guys that may lay back and wait for it to slick off, and then they'll start picking up speed. So you may see a lot of shifting.
I'll be honest with you, Vince, I've only been behind the wheel of one of these things about once, maybe twice, if even that much. Made about 10 laps and said, yep, not for me. Cool to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely cool to watch, but no, it's just a different skill set. I don't have it, and I'll admit that all day.
Yeah, it's definitely a field type racing. You definitely use the adage wheeling the car around the track, as you truly do, with a little bit of throttle and counter steering and throwing the car up on the bar. And what I mean by that is this car is left rear dominant for grip, so that left rear tire takes most of the grip. So if you see somebody that doesn't throw it into the turn onto the bar, you'll see the car start guiding to the right.
About 3 laps into our 5-lap caution, our 5 formation lap, so to speak.
And it looks like Patrick Lucio's kind of coordinating, getting everybody organized in the right spots and stuff right before the green.
Go the back through the field here. Brock Manuel in the number 98. Carson Conway to his outside, and the number 72 Holler Boys Racing Machine. Mark Truxell, also from the Superior Class Auto Racing League. He made an entry here tonight in his familiar number 5. Usually got Little Tate's Cupcakes on the side of that car. Maybe it's on the back. I don't see it, but looks familiar. And again, Tommy D'Angelo in the number 23C. River Ready Contracting. Ryan Hatch in the 56. Carter Russo in the 21. Johnny Anderson in the number 6. Stopping on track, catching up, trying to get lined up. Margaret McDaniel, looks like a number 11 machine. Got the Roman numerals there, I think. Brian Rose, haven't talked to Brian at all for a little bit tonight, but a new paint scheme on that machine. Brian's not an avid dirt racer, but he can get the job done. Painted up that machine just before tonight's race. Looking pretty good for Brian Rose. Lap 5 of 40. We should be going green here shortly. I think they're trying to get the field lined up. You see the 17, or in our system it's shown as the 31, Robert Tucker. Yellow flag is out, so I think they're going to turn this into a true yellow and then allow the pace car to come back out, get everybody lined up, and then go back and actually start tonight's race. Allie McDaniel piping in here in the chat. Kyle and Zachary Baish's cars are both in honor of Gail Hackett, so that's a good point. Let's take a peek here while we still have a yellow flag. It's Kyle Hackett and Zachary Baish. There's Kyle. There we go, that I Believe paint scheme. Gone but not forgotten on the rear spoiler of that entry. There we go. Got Gail on the front, it looks like. Taking care of Grandma. All right, so Zach Baish. Let's get on that machine. Another, yep, I Believe entry. It's got ZB Symptography on it, 3 wide designs. Again, gone not forgotten on the back rear spoiler there. Good looking paint schemes for both these cars. All right, well, we've had plenty of time to grab a hot dog, a beer, cheeseburger, a sausage, some popcorn. We're about ready to get this race underway. Showing 6 laps on the board. Now it's showing 5. Now it's showing 6. We're all over the place. Trying to get timing and scoring worked out so we can get this race started.
Steve, you still got me.
A little concerned about how they're going to figure this one out here. I don't know if we managed to screw up the sim. I've seen it happen before. However, if it did happen that way, it's not the end of the world. We had a glitch with iRacing the last time they had a patch come out where we tried to go green and the flagman just wouldn't throw the green. So we threw the yellow and the pace car wouldn't come out. So we just had to completely abandon the session, open up a new one, and start over. The good news is if that happens, I'm sure they can fix this fuel issue right within the settings, or just do it the same way again. I don't know, but... Well, that was really strange. I'm sure you all saw that on the stream, but an overlay from a file that isn't currently loaded into the software just showed up on the screen and then went away. It's like maximum overdrive up in here.
Right. Right.
The machines have become self-aware. All I know is my live timing data is not happy.
I think it's
Think
had a little too much sugar.
Yeah, I think we may have gotten it straightened out, though.
They're doing a lot of shuffling too, so that might be what's kind of getting it jumpy. I think they're just trying to make sure all the blacks are cleared and everybody's organized in the right spots. Looks like they're pretty organized now. It's just clearing all the bugs with the black flags and stuff out. There we go.
Flag in the air. We are off and running in the first annual Gail, Hackett, I Believe 40. Keith Hackney out to the early lead. We're going to stay with the wide shot here for a little bit so we can kind of catch all the action until these guys spread out. Three wide battle up front. Hackney, Tucker, Evans.
Looks like we got a spin out at the end of the turn. A few cars caught up in it.
Yellow is out. Looks like we've got Carson Conway involved. We got a bunch of cars involved. Let's see if we can get a look at it here. Wider shot, the 72 and the 98.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
looks
Brock
like
Manuel.
21's on his lid.
I mean, I've got almost 10 cars involved here at some point or another. Oh, yeah, big wreck out in front.
And here I was getting ready to jinx him, talking about how smooth the start was.
It's way too early for the broadcasters, Jinx.
Oh, yeah, we definitely got quite a few cars caught up in that one.
So who was it that was upside down? Was it the 21 or the 27 or a bunch of guys?
It looked like on the side of the car, the number on it was 21 from what I could see.
'71 maybe?
That's a possibility.
Garrett Zacharias, yep, that's the 71 that was upside down, that black, white, and pink machine. Let's take a look at that one. We'll rewind it because there's way too much data of crashed cars for me to sift through to try and find it, so we're just going to hit the rewind and then change the cameras up.
Yeah, it looks like we had one that kind of overpowered the turn or threw the rear end too far into the turn and just tried to overcorrect it. So it took a few cars with him.
The 24 maybe was involved. Big wreck. Now, they do have a couple of fast repairs. We're going to go live here just to see what's going on. We may be going green, I think, this time by. We spent some time looking at some replays there.
I know typically on dirt races, Steve, also, when they're under caution, they usually will not lose laps while they're in the pits trying to fix whatever they need to fix. But I don't know if they set it up that way on this one.
Well, I know they're not counting caution laps per se.
Okay, so that would mean if they're under yellow, they're not going to lose any laps.
Well, see, that's the other thing, too. I'm just trying to figure... Oh, never mind. No, because they were technically green there at the beginning. I was wondering how they did that with running the first few laps under yellow, but it was just running it under pace speed. But we're back under green here, lap 9 of 40. Keith Hackney out front. Second place, Brent Evans and Robert Tucker in third. We do have yet another yellow flag. Looks like now we've got Brian Rose in trouble. Let's see what's going on with the 89. Contact with the 89 and 11. I believe that is Margaret McDaniel. Big trouble for those three. Oh, and yeah, the 7 gets upside down on the roof of the 11. The 89 is on his own. Said these guys do have a couple fast repairs, but early on we've already burned them up with a lot of these cars. So what's your take on this, Vince? I mean, do these guys usually straighten themselves out here after a few laps once they kind of get into a rhythm, or is it just this is a big field, 32 cars on this half-mile dirt track in Knoxville?
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized field. Typically, you're probably looking at high 20s for a field, maybe sometime 30s, very few. Now, on a larger track like this, it shouldn't have affected as much, but with it being a track that's not as banked as some of the other ones, they don't have a lot of play there, so their imperfections when they go into the turns, wrong throttling or steering late, it's going to show, especially when the track starts slicking off. Now, I know on our asphalt racing, a lot of the guys sometimes, whether it be the Carb Cup or some of the super speedways, some of these guys will actually take a provisional to the rear or EOL just to avoid all the accidents and stuff. But here, doing it with dirt tracks, sometimes you don't want to do that because you have to work twice as hard once the track slicks off.
We're back under green.
Avoiding them.
Keith Hackney still pointing that number 69 machine out at the front. 101 of Brent Evans in second. So Garrett Zacharias' his crash single car incident for him has moved on. Battle for the lead up front. Keith Hackney defends it. Second place now, Brent Evans gets by the
Yeah, it looks like we had a car flipped over.
another yellow.
Yeah,
Steve
looks like
Boynton,
somebody-
Margaret McDaniel, and Tommy D'Angelo and Carson Conway all involved. Let's take a look. See the 75 in the fence by himself. Ooh, Boynton clips the 2. They start wrecking into turn number 3.
Yeah, Eddie, on the steering offset, typically you usually just keep it at a neutral. Some guys may go off a little bit to turn to the outside just to get it off onto the straight easier, but usually with the ratio, it's usually 10-to-1 ratio. You don't mess with it too much on the supers or the pros. Yeah, the offsets are usually personal preference. Some guys like it neutral at 0, some like it plus side, some negative. Typically for me, if I do mess with it, I want it turned to the outside a little bit so when I come off the turn, it's a little smoother and I'm not having to worry about getting it so much straight. Main thing our viewers need to keep in mind with these cars, a lot of the steering comes from the rear, kind of like the sprint cars in a way. You still do some steering, obviously, but the throttling is what controls it. So if you don't get this car up on the bars when you go into the turn, you're going to lose your grip from your right rear tire, and all that power is going to be on the left tire, which is going to push you towards the fence.
Field pretty well strung out here under this caution. Timing and scoring having a hard time keeping track of who is what. Green going back in the air. Field coming to life off turn number 4. And we have another yellow. Not sure what brought this one out.
Welcome to large field dirt track racing.
Looks like Steve Boynton has had an incident. Let's see what happened here. Well, Steve Boynton was just coming out of the pits, I thought. See the field going into 1 and 2. Boynton coming out of the pits at the same time, right in front of the leader. Keeps it down low. No, pace cars, I don't know what is going on. Software says everybody crashed. The entire field is crashed. That's not true. It hasn't happened. we'll catch them when we can, but right now it's still the number 69 out front, even though everything says otherwise. I'm just going to reload this and see if that cleans it up a bit. Keith Hackney still out front. Brent Evans second. James Sterry third.
Yeah, this kind of racing will definitely test your patience. You can tell by some of the driver conversation going on.
I mean, you've got guys in here with a lot of talent. You've got guys with varying levels of experience, so that plays a factor as well. But still, it's a 30-plus car field on a half-mile dirt track. That's a lot of traffic to negotiate around. You got to kind of be paying attention. You got to be smart with the moves that you make, and as you said, Vince, patience are going to run thin really quickly, and cautions breed cautions, and short tempers breed cautions. So two things working against you. If these guys can clean it up, I'm sure we got a good race in front of us, but so far these guys got to figure out how to keep that yellow flag from coming out.
Roger that. Yeah, it's a patience thing. I mean, you guys need to remember to drive within your limits. I mean, some of you guys should know within a reason that you can't drive this car beyond what your knowledge is. So you're gonna have guys that are really, really good at it, very, very smooth, and then you got guys that are in a hurry to try to catch the leader. And of course, me and you know that the more you rush yourself, get impatient, the less clean your racing is. Now, another thing you might see too, Steve, with the slick, right now it looks like it's developing mostly in the middle on the turns and then the outside on the straights, is you're going to have guys that are going to start down low and let it glide up, and you have guys that may be more comfortable up along the wall and just stand on the cushion.
We've got another crash. Tommy D'Angelo, Margaret McDaniel, Brian Rose, Keith Hack, everybody crashed. Well, let's see if this gives us any information here with Tommy D'Angelo. HBR TV instant replay. Tommy's in that number 23 machine, it looks like, into turn 3. Gets contact from the 8. Sends him up the track in front of Kyle Hackett.
Yeah,
11 of Margaret McDaniel clips, comes down. Big wreck, really. It wasn't a false reading from the live timing and scoring. Really was about 5 or 6 cars involved in that incident off turn number 4.
Yeah, from
Turn
what
2.
I can tell, it looks like it was on the exit of coming into between the turns, so it's going to be a blind spot sometimes for guys that are going in full into the turn, and it's a little harder to control the car. Because once you let off the gas, that car will snap around.
Well, we've got 26 laps to go. That last run, I think, was probably our longest run under green at speed.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go back to double follow on this one.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the plan. I went single file, if that was just all night, or with the consecutive cautions, if that was automatic. But pace car lights are off. We're going to try and do this again. Hopefully we can keep them straight and out of the wall. Green back out. Keith Hackney in the gas once again. One car working that low line, trying to see if he can make it work. Doesn't have a momentum off of turn number 2, but had the speed mid-corner. And we have another caution. Magnus Anderson has crashed, so is Ryan Hatch. Brian Rose, Kyle Hackett, Margaret McDaniel, Carson Conway all involved. Let's take a look at the HBR TV replay. Widen it out here, see if we can get a better look at it. Looks like the 29 of Magnus Anderson. That might actually be a 7, but oh, up front it happens. That they get crossed up, 2 cars, the 56 and a 4, and then the 56 just gets driven right underneath. Puts himself on the lid. Carson Conway driving into it. Then teammate Brian Rose getting into Conway. You can imagine these guys, some of them have been in multiple wrecks already. We're not even halfway. Have they used a fast repair yet? Can these cars take a pretty good beating?
No, they're pretty brittle on the fronts. The car drives fine as long as you don't get into the steering itself. I mean, you can ding up the bodies pretty well and the cars still drive good, but it just depends on what type of impact they get. If they start getting into the upper and lowers on the front end steering, you know, you're going to have all kinds of issues because with this car, you know, you got a counter steer going into the turns. It looks like we're going single file on this one.
Got to figure something out. These guys either don't have the patience or I just don't know. Again, I get that it's crowded, I get that it's cramped, but there are smaller tracks that we can run these cars on. Got to find a way to race around each other without wrecking. Hackney back in the gas. We're under green. Lap 25 to go. 24 to go. 101 dives Brett Evans to the inside, trying to get a move down through the middle of the corner. High side working out for Hackney. And caution's out. Carson Conway, Zach Bache, Ryan Hatch. Let's see what happened to the 72. Carson looks like he just slid the nose off the corner. Doesn't make contact with the wall, or does he? No, he gets through. Just loses it on entry to 1. Gets clipped during his spin. Tommy D'Angelo involved. 56 involved. I mean, Vince, have you ever run a race like this where it's just a couple laps green and you think you got a rhythm and all of a sudden yellow comes out and it's just like Groundhog's Day after that?
Pretty much, and of course, you know, the tempers start flaring. The guys are getting frustrated between guys doing stuff that they know is causing them to wreck. I mean, biggest thing you deal with on pro late models and some of the higher powered dirt cars is just over throttling. I mean, this, like I was telling you guys earlier today, you can't go full throttle with these cars on these tracks, especially once they start slicking it off. So you need to slow down, let the car grip, and then let it drive off. Very rarely will you go full throttle in these cars. Maybe a blip on the straightaway, but very rarely. Most of it's just throttling.
I remember driving the truck, and it was the same thing. I mean, we never even got fourth gear half the time. It was half to three-quarter throttle at best, and you never grabbed fourth. And I was like, man, you don't get to utilize all the power this thing has, because if you do, it's just, you're going to be slow.
Right. I know we raced trucks with one of our other leagues at Charlotte, and I never came out of fourth gear. And what that does is it helps slow the rear end down a little bit when you're letting off the gas, so you're not having to use the brake at all. And you just let the rear end steer it around.
Green back in the air, Hackney back in the gas. Evans second, Sterry third. Same story since the drop of the original green. Jonathan Byram putting some pressure on Sterry. Hackney already out to a pretty good lead. A little bit of contact between Evans and the 741. They get away with it.
I'll tell you another thing too with the dirt cars is there's not a lot of mirrors in there, so you're basically going off of sound. A lot of that's how these guys are trained, is to go off of sound when cars are around them.
car under yellow. Again, this is our 9th caution in 19 laps. Carson Conway's crashed again. Let's take a look what happened to Carson. See Carson off 4 at the start-finish line. Gets into 1. Not sure. It's the same thing that happened before. Just over-rotates the car on entry. Does this one by himself, unfortunately.
And he's right in the middle of the slick, too. That's one of the things you want to try to use the grip groove down low or the grip groove up high to get one side of your car around the grip so it keeps it from doing that.
Don't let anybody ever tell you that dirt racing is easy. Carson's no slouch behind the wheel. Having some troubles here at Knoxville, getting it done here on the dirt.
Yeah, most of the races, whenever I'm preparing for a dirt race, one of the things I like to do if I haven't done it in a while is I'll get on a private practice track and put about 60 to 70% slicked off so that I can get my throttling in the range that it needs to be.
Throttle control, very, very important in these race cars. You think driving a road racing car, steering wheel is really important, brakes are really important, but here it's the throttle, not just to go fast, but to make that car turn. Flag back out. Hackney's still our leader. Caution's out again. This time for Jonathan O'Brien. Let's see what happened with Jonathan. He's in the number 4 machine, that black and white, looks like a zebra, with a number on the door. Wonder if he got the lower berm, lifts the nose up in the air, and hard impact to the wall. Man, I'm glad this is just a sim. We'll be seeing him on the news in the morning.
There's a fine line when you want to ride that low line where you got to basically be at the edge of that berm, and with that nose clip the way it's set up so low, it takes nothing but a little bit of that nose to clip that berm.
Well, we've got 19 laps to go here in the I Believe 40. It's been carnage here at Knoxville. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been tough. And it's kind of unfortunate because you look at our top 16, 15 drivers, and we've got some serious talent in this field. It's tough, but hopefully we'll get some good long green flags. We're back under green once again. Hackney in the gas. Real big pressure from Evans. Looking to the inside, 65, 69, slipping up to the top of the track, running that high side. You see 2 distinct grooves working their way in. Back to the inside goes Evans. Hackney to the outside. Might have a change of position for the lead as they work off turn number 4. Hackney second, but to the outside. Evans will lead that lap. High, wide, and handsome for the second and third position vehicles. Hackney back to the front with the momentum, but to the advantage is the inside once again. Evans working the low line. It's coming in for him. 18 laps to go here at Knoxville. Catching some lap traffic already. We're going to have to see how they can work their way through this traffic. The thing about a lot of cars on a little racetrack is you catch the tail really quickly. Mark trucks moving to the bottom.
Usually what I'll do when we start coming up on lap traffic is you kind of observe to see what their tendencies are to give you an idea of how you want to do your pass on them.
I mean, it's a good way of looking at it, and it's kind of the same way you approach things in other series. Is to kind of watch what they're doing and just go where they're not. The tough part is here is you've got such a variance of talent in the field. The top guys are really, really quick, and the slow guys, well, they're not. So you catch them, and you have to pass them before you get an opportunity to see what they're doing. Brett Evans continues to lead, but Hackney battling back, wants that position back. Still working the high side. Good momentum up there. Evans still working the bottom, though. It's paying off. Real close battle up at the front. Brett Evans has the lead. Keith Hackney led most of the race. Granted, we ran a lot of caution laps, but he's still right there fighting for that position. James Sterry is in the 3rd position. Jonathan Byram is 4th. 5th is Robert Tucker. 12 laps to go here from Knoxville. Finally a good stretch of green flag racing. Evans catches that bottom berm, slows him down a bit. Advantage on the outside, but not quite enough to complete the pass into 3. Evans actually now riding that berm a little bit, getting some extra grip on that left front. You don't really think of that left front getting used a whole lot of these dirt tracks. It's making it work here. Down low for the 101.
Yeah, from what I can see, he's working it perfectly. He's throttling just right at the right times. He's keeping that left rear just on the edge of that grip and using that front grip to bring the nose around.
I'll tell you, 10 more laps like this and I'll forget all about the first half of this race.
We may, but they may not.
Allie McDaniel chiming in. What a memorable first event. Absolutely. So far, it's just starting to get good here with 8 laps to go here from Knoxville in the I Believe 40. Keith Hackney looks like he's taken over the lead again, but battling back. Brett Evans off turn number 2. Hackney's got the momentum off the corner down the straight. Clears Evans back to the front. Keith Hackney's your new leader.
The one nice thing about riding the high side or staying to the high side is there's less steering input, and then it's just throttling and hitting your marks, whereas down low, you know, Brent's having to put steering input, throttle input, and then glide back up.
Hackney giving a shot with that low line through 3 and 4, seeing what's down there, why he was able to get past without using it.
Man, don't look past what these guys are doing that's out of the ordinary for what they've been driving. They're testing things out for towards the end of the race. That way they have that in their mindset going into the last few laps.
Well, end of the race isn't far away. At the line, we got 5 to go. Keith Hackney still the leader. Brent Evans still hot on his trail. Both cars running the low lane once again. Lap traffic intermixing with these leaders. We do have a caution, though. It's going to bunch them back up. We're going to have another restart. Looks like Jonathan Byram has crashed. Let's see what happened with Jonathan. Jonathan in the 54, green and white paint there. Contact with the 17 and the 8A, around he goes. Lost him on the camera. Back to the pits he goes. So our 11th caution of the evening. We got 5 laps to go. Again, caution laps don't count. Plenty of fuel left on board for these machines. We're going to have to see if we can get a full 5 laps under green and settle this one here at Knoxville. Vicky Compton watching. She's checking in. Who else we got here? Brock Manuel mentioned. Well, he's in the race. Brock, don't text and drive.
I noticed that Nikki Short's watching.
I saw Nikki Short. She was trying to diagnose her issues, but forget that. We're back to green. 4 laps to go. Hackney's still your leader. Brett Evans really trying to take that away. He wants the win here in the I Believe 40 from Knoxville. Hackney looks pretty strong. Both cars evenly matched. Both drivers seem to be evenly matched. They've swapped that position back and forth here in the late going.
And what you may see here is where Keith starts guarding that bottom there and maybe taking the middle line on the straights and just gliding out slow to kind of slow up.
Or another
Brent.
yellow.
Yeah, that could be it.
Let's see what brought this one out. Not really sure. Yeah, I don't see it. It says Keith Hackney and Brent Evans crashed, but they definitely didn't.
And Robert Tucker saying something about hitting the wall in 3 and 4.
Well, we're going to get a restart here with 3 to go at the line when the green comes out. Yeah, but Tucker's running 4th. Tucker's still running 4th. The one thing I would like to see added with, not so much added, but happen when you do any kind of hosted dirt racing is have a live race control, because for whatever reason the iRacing control at these dirt tracks is super, super sensitive when it comes to yellows.
Oh, yeah.
Pace cars in, green flags a waving. 3 laps to go in the I Believe 40. Can we get it all the way in without the yellow?
Looks like we're getting a little testy in that 4th, 5th, and 6th position racing there.
Garrett Zacharias, Robert Tucker, Mark Keteman Jr. '17 into the fence in turn 1 and 2. Good battle at the back. Not so much the back, but back at the top 5, as Vince mentioned. Back up front, though, battle for the lead. Nothing close. 2 to go. Coming to the white. Keith Hackney looking good most of the evening. Gave up the lead for a little bit. Brent Evans can't do anything with him. Hackney's through turns 1 and 2. We are on the last lap. Down the backstretch. Hackney negotiating a lap vehicle into turn 3. Middle of 3 and 4. Looking for the checkered flag, and Keith Hackney's going to win it at Knoxville. The I Believe 40 belongs to the number 69. Keith Hackney brings it home. Looks like a big wreck in turn 1 post-race, but no yellow for that one. All right. Well, that is the race. We're going to take a very short break and be right back with our top 3 interviews. Welcome back, everyone, to Knoxville Raceway for the I Believe 40. We have our third place finisher, James Starry. James, congratulations. You guys were kind of up front most of the night. I know the first half of the race was caution-filled, but did you have anything for the top two?
I don't really necessarily think I had anything for the top two. Whenever we were all ripping the top, I feel like I might have had something, but whenever we went down to the bottom, they were just way better than me at rolling through the slick. Also, congrats to Keith and Brent for good run and keeping it clean all race.
Yeah, top 10, top 15 cars seemed to get along pretty well as far as behaving themselves when it came to using the bumpers and the fenders, but a little frustrating. Does that kind of make you get the itch to want to get going here when you have the first half of the race, a lot of yellows?
Yeah, it kind of made it where the race ended up being 40 minutes for the feature, where it probably could have been at 15 minutes for the feature. But I mean, you kind of expect that whenever the 32 cars roll out for the feature. You could tell by some of the heat racing that it was gonna kind of be a long night. But yeah, it was kind of frustrating because you'd get a good run, get a good restart, and then caution would come right back on, and you'd have to restart again.
Well, certainly an exciting race to watch either way. I know it's the first annual. These guys are going to try and put up another one here next year, I'm sure. Lessons to be learned for the next one, maybe a smaller feature, and we'll kind of go from there. But once again, congratulations. Before we let you go, is there anybody you need to thank that helps you run here tonight?
I'd like to thank my mom's PayPal account, Stealth Oil Services, mom and dad, y'all for putting this one on and broadcasting it, and Keith and Brent for running me clean, and everybody that started in the top 10 for keeping it clean.
Mom and dad's PayPal account. Love it. All right, James. Thanks again, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so next up, we're going to bring in our second place finisher, Brent Evans. It's Steve and Vince in the HBR TV booth. Do you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Brent, congratulations on the second place run. I know it's not where you wanted to finish, and you had the lead there for a little bit. You made the move around Hackney. It was an impressive move. You were making it work on the bottom, and then all of a sudden he managed to get back by you. Did you lose something on the bottom, or did he just find something on the top?
Well, I really didn't know. I knew he was faster on the top. I knew in practice earlier I was running some faster laps around the bottom once it slicked off, so I kind of stuck down there. Also, fuel was kind of a factor, so I was just making sure I could make it on fuel with the laps we had remaining. But it was good for a little while. I think it went away a lot faster than I thought it would, and I just didn't have nothing for him there at the end.
Well, it was a great run, great battle watching you and the 69 fight for that position late in the race. I'm glad we got some green flag battles into it. First half of the race, kind of a caution fest, but you kept your head in there and you went after it and you almost pulled out a win. Second place is where you end up. Congratulations for that. Is there anybody you want to thank that maybe a sponsor on the car helps you get this thing done?
Yeah, I'm just going to give a big shout out to my team over at ZMR, CNC Racing Designs, Stockwell's Radiator Service, and just everyone that supports what we do, man.
All right, Brent. Well, thank you. Congratulations, and we'll see you next time. All right, so that was Brent Evans. We'll go to Keith Hackney, our winner. Keith Hackney, it's Steve and Vince in the HBR TV booth. Do you have a copy?
What's going on, buddy?
Keith, man, congratulations. Good win. It wasn't uncontested. I mean, it seemed like it might have been for a little while. You had the lead, and we had, well, first half of the race we ran most of it under caution, so you didn't have to worry about that as much. But a bunch of restarts. Brent Evans in that 101 was there right on your back bumper most of the race and did even make it a pass for the lead at some point. Tell us that move. Tell us how you made your way back by to regain the lead and the eventual victory.
Yeah, I was honestly the lines I was running early in the race, man, I was just really just conserving because I didn't have much fuel, or I don't think none of us did, and I was just, wasn't really running the line I wanted to run, and then we ran up on that, I guess a lap car or whatnot, and it threw me off a little bit. So that allowed him to get, some good runs around the bottom, and I noticed he was under me, and he actually got by me for a little while, and I was like, man, I mean, at this point, I mean, if you just ride behind him, I mean, you're not going to pass him. So you got to go somewhere where they ain't. So that's what I did, man. I just went up to the top and I gave it all it had. Like I was just throwing it in there pretty much wide open. I was having to crack the throttle just a little bit coming off because of the slickness that had started gaining up there. But man, I just once I got that momentum rolling up there, I started catching him. Then eventually when I got by him, I went back down to the bottom because that's where I wanted to be at the end. So I didn't have to worry about anything. So I hated. I don't know. I kind of hated that caution at the end. I kind of did. I mean, it really didn't matter. I mean, restarts are everything. Especially with Brent, behind you and stuff like that. We've raced a lot of races together, good clean racing. So I know he would have raced clean. And very good competition. So I just tried to keep my nose clean. That last restart, I got in the corner better than I did the restart before, and I was able to pull away from him right there, and just smooth sailing from there.
Well, it was an entertaining race from my standpoint. You may have heard through the grapevine. I am not a dirt guy by any means, at least when it comes to driving them. They're very fun to watch. It was entertaining on my end to see you guys working two different lines and making it go fast. I will ask Vincent Short. Vincent's kind of the HBR TV, more the driver side of things, but joins us when we do these dirt broadcasts. He's kind of our resident expert. So I'll have him, if he's got questions for our winner, Keith Hackney, have at it, Vince.
Hey, Keith, it's Vince here.
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, I do remember racing and cutting my teeth on the street stocks with you on the dirt, so I'm very familiar with your driving skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I told him early on that you were going to be one of the ones to watch, and that was without me even seeing the practice times and stuff. I just familiarity with watching you racing behind you a lot, seeing your rear end more than the front. But also, I told him early on that with you running that high side and not making a lot of steering input going into the turns and stuff, that was going to make it a little easier race for you, and that's pretty much what you stayed to there for a while. I know you tested the bottom a few times. Later on in the race, but I knew eventually, that high side just smoothing out your steering input was going to be the difference in who won the race.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, once I knew Brent was down there, when I knew I had to go to the top, I mean, I just had to make it work. There was really no other option. I had to make it work. I played with my steering a little bit, and warm up, to try to tighten the car up some for myself because I don't really like a free car as it is, and it just seemed to work out pretty good. I got tied up there maybe twice, I think, and but other than that, man, it's just like I said, just focus on hitting your marks. I mean, you can't get nervous. You can't overdrive the car when you're in that position. Close racing like that. So you just got to stay focused and maintain your speed and just minimize the mistakes.
Yeah, I learned early on, when I raced street stock dirts, that the less work you have to put into the steering and letting the car just go where it needs to go, it's less work for you. You want to make the guys behind you work harder. And I know with Brent, he was putting a lot of input. I know on this track, when you go down low, you got to put a lot of steering and throttle input in order to keep it straight and keep it going around the track. Whereas up top, you can kind of glide around and ride the cushion.
Right, and that's what I was going back to. Like two restarts before the end. I jumped down to the bottom, and I don't know, I entered it way wrong. I got completely sideways, and he was right there on my bumper. And I knew, if we had another restart, I had to there again. I had to take that mistake out. So when I went down in the corner, I sort of trail braked just a little bit, and it just kept the car pretty straight. And I was able, to pull away from him right there.
Right.
So we'll
Well,
take it.
Keith, congratulations once again on the victory. I know there's some prizes for our top three. Catch up with Allie and Kyle, and they'll get that all straightened out for you guys in the end. But before we let you walk one more time, we asked everybody, is there any sponsors that you want to thank that helps you get this thing done?
Oh yeah, man. I got to thank Team No Love, hands down, one of the best teams I think out there right now. House of Speed, Kilgore's Consulting, Race Page Pro, NH Lens, Dustin Hall on this wrap. Just uh, just everybody behind the scenes, man. Beehive Media, shout out to Queen Bee. Just you know, we making these big strides, week in, week out, whether it's these, whether it's supers or street stocks, which that's our bread and butter. But just man, I can't be more proud of my team. We all push each other to be better, and that's how come when we get in these races, we don't come to mess around. So I thank all of them for that. Y'all for putting on the broadcast, and them for putting this on.
All right, Keith. Well, thank you for being here. It was certainly fun to watch, and we'll see you at the next one, man.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
Congrats, Keith.
It's Keith Hackney, the winner for tonight's, I believe, 40 from Knoxville Raceway. Our pole sitter as well. So we were going to have the pole sitter join our top 3 up on the front stretch for our picture post race, but well, he sat on the pole and he led the race, won the race. So just the 3 of them. We'll get the picture out later on. But again, congratulations to our top 3, Hackney, Evans, and Starry. We do have the official race results ready. We will put them up on the screen so we can go over that. Again, Keith Hackney, your winner. Brent Evans, a hard-fought second place. James Starry was third. Camden Johnson was fourth. Fifth was Robert Tucker. Sixth, Garrett Zacharias. Sixth place for Garrett Zacharias. He was involved in a couple of incidents, worked his way back to the front. Congratulations to Garrett. Seventh was Mark Keedeman Jr. in the 52. Eighth was Cameron Dawson. Ninth, Superior Class Auto Racing's Thomas McMullen, also a member of TCB Motorsports. Good run for Thomas. 10th place was Connor McGowan. 11th place was Ryan Arbogast. 12th was Magnus Anderson. 13th, Johnny Anderson. 14th, Josh Whiteman. 15th, Ryan Hatch. 16th, Tommy D'Angelo. 17th was Michael Doan. 18th was Zachary Beisch. 19th was Colton Herbert. 20th, Stephen Boyton. 21st was Jonathan Byram. 22nd, Margaret McDaniel. 23rd, Mark Truxell. 24th, Josh Leddix. 25th was Jonathan O'Brien. 26th, Carson Conway. 27th, Brock Manuel. 28th, David Garman Jr. 29th was Brian Rose. 30th was Kyle Hackett. 31st, Carter Russo. And 32nd, Clinton Conrad. Again, a big field here tonight at Knoxville Raceway. Probably contributed to a lot of the incidents we had on track, a lot of yellow flags. It's tough to put that many cars on a little dirt track like this, in cars like this, with guys of varying degrees of ability. You had probably half the field that are lights out in those circumstances, and you could probably put 30 plus of them out there with no problem. But you got some guys that are rookies, some guys that are C-class, B-class, kind of working their way up, still learning the craft. Not knocking anyone, but the reality is this. There's some guys that are faster than you. There's some guys that you're slower, that you're faster than. It's just the nature of the beast when it comes to racing in general and even iRacing as well. So we'll learn from that. I'm sure they'll go forward and come up with a different plan next year, but either way, it'll be just as exciting, if not more so. Vince, I got to ask, what's your take? What are you taking away from tonight's race?
A little bump, there's a few little bumps and bruises during the race. I think eventually it started to wean itself out. I mean, if you look at the finish, most of your A-class drivers finished up towards the top. Guys that's got higher I ratings, that's got a lot of experience, that's turned a lot of laps on these type tracks. So, and that's typically how it works its way out. It always does. Every race I've ever ran, it's always, your guys that are experienced and turn the laps are going to be up towards the top.
Well, it was fun to watch. I know everybody looks at me like, oh, it's dirt. He doesn't care. Yeah, I like watching them. I just don't like racing them. So when there's another one available, I will be happy to call it. Vince, maybe he'll even run it. Maybe he'll be in the booth. Either way, we'll be glad to see him participate. Before we let everybody go, that we want to go through the sponsors again that really put forth some serious effort, time, and even money and surprises to make this happen here tonight. First of all, 3 Wide Designs. That's Kyle and Allie. They kind of put this together. I got to give them that shout out. They didn't necessarily say it had to be up, but we got to make sure that we take care of them as well. Obviously, Major's Garage for providing the setups tonight. Also providing setups, I believe, for the top 3. Not sure 100%. I know Allie did cover that at the beginning. Unlimited Beef Jerky Unlimited. ZB Simtography. The Joe Sixpack Podcast. ILikeToRace.com. And Whiplash Media for providing custom camera work for Knoxville Raceway. And, of course, tonight's broadcast was brought to you by Superior Class Auto Racing. Superior Class Auto Racing League on iRacing, running NASCAR Next Gen Cup Series, Super Late Models, and ARCA Series competition this season. Look us up at scariRacing.com. So that's going to about do it from the HBR TV booth. For Vincent Short, I'm Steve Singer. We'll see you at the next one, and thank you very much for watching.